Steve Palumbo here with an RX Muscle news update. The Boston Pro has let out. We have a new champion. We have a first champion. This is a first-year show and a stellar production that they put on. Wow, first class all the way around. I thought that the live stream production value was really good. They had a lot of great commentators, including Phil Heath, who I think is, I'd have this guy do the Olympia. I mean, he's really good. He's good in the booth because he's got good insights. He knows the competitors. He likes to talk. He's good at talking, and I think that he would be great in the Olympia live stream for sure if they can get him to do it, especially being a former Mr. Olympia. Phenomenal. I think Andre Ferguson did a really good job too in there, and and all the guys that were in that booth, holding it down. And I love to hear people giving strong opinions, and I thought that they did a great job at that. But the name of the day was, I should say, the winner of the day has to be William Bonac. Here was a guy who came off the Arnold. A lot of people, myself included, felt he should have won the Arnold Classic. I had the comments that I heard, at least through the grapevine, was that maybe he had some gynecomastia that might have held him back a little bit and given Brandon the edge. It obviously wasn't a problem here in Boston because he won, and it was a hard-fought battle. It was not an easy win on his part. He is just one level above everyone else that was there. And when I say one level above, I mean 3D muscle, etched in detail, grooves and crevices where you want to see it. He's got it all together. And I think that the guys that are on the way up, Justin Rodriguez, who finished in second, we'll talk about him in a minute, Steve Kuclo in third, and of course, Samson Dauda, who's a superstar in the future for sure. These are guys that just haven't gotten to his level yet. Now, a lot of people felt, maybe even William himself, that maybe he couldn't get back to what he was several years ago. He had a couple bad years in there. He had a knee injury or some kind of a leg injury that kept his legs down in size. He's back. Is he as good as he was in 17? That's debatable, but he's really good. And I think that he's going to give guys at the Olympia a lot of trouble because he's got wow factor to his body. And when he turns around and hits that back double bicep, that's a hard pose to beat. There's not many guys. I don't even know if Ramy can beat that pose. When he's on 100% and he's shredded and he's full, he's very, very difficult to beat because he doesn't have any gaps in his physique. There's no he's missing this, or his lats are not low enough, or he's got everything. He's got calves. There's nothing that he's missing. The only thing you could possibly criticize is that he's a little on the shorter side. So sometimes the taller guys look a little more impressive because they're spread out a little bit more. But not in this lineup, because he went up against some really big, tall guys like Justin Rodriguez and Steve Kuclo and Samson Dauda. And it convincingly won. It was not a walk in the park because everyone was in really good shape. But Bonac wins this show, hands down. And you know what? He deserves it. It was great redemption for his loss last week to Brandon Curry. And you really can't say anything bad about that because Brandon Curry is a Mr. Olympia. He's at a very high level. So I think that this was a good idea for Bonac to do the show. He's got some momentum back. He won some good prize money. And now he can go into the rest of his off season and focus on the Olympia in December, which is a lot of time still. So he can make improvements. He can still put some more size back on those legs. And when he comes in at the end of the year, he'll be well rested and he should look amazing. So great win for Bonac. Justin Rodriguez, to me, really impressed me. He was impressive at the Arnold last week at the prejudging. He might have been a little spilled over, but then at night, when he came back the next day for the finals, he was smooth. So he obviously overcarbed. Whatever he did wrong last week, him and his coach corrected this week because this was perfect for him. He was shredded. He was peeled. A lot of people talked about, well, maybe Samson or Steve might beat him. He was really, I think he challenged Bonac. I don't think there was any, thought about him beating Bonac because it was, but on certain shots he had Bonac, he had his number down. He's very freaky. He's got great proportions. He's got insane arms. His back has improved tremendously. His legs have come up. His glutes and hamstrings are really, really impressive. Here's a guy who I'd be very scared of if I was the rest of the lineup because in another year or two, what is he going to look like next year if he made the improvements he's made over the last 2 years? And I think by Olympia time at the end of this year, he's going to be even better. He might be another 5 to 7 pounds bigger. At this point, he's got to be considered a legitimate top 6 Olympian. In my book, he is. That's for sure. Now if he puts too much muscle on and he starts blowing his waist out a little bit, that's going to be, that's going to set him back. But if he right now, the way he looks now, very impressive. Make a few quality changes, still a little bit more size in the leg. Back can never be too big. He's going to be super dangerous. Steve Kuclo brought the conditioning again. He was about maybe the same as last week to me. He was a little flat, I think, in the morning. He definitely came back better at night. Steve just needs more tissue in his body. He's a big, big guy with a big frame. I think now he sees what he needs to work on. When he did the Arnold in September, he was big, so he looked like he filled out his frame, but he was not hard and grainy like he was at the Arnold and here in Boston. So now he sees, all right, this is what I got. Yeah, I might be able to come in a little fuller, but I need some more tissue on my body because I'm so big. My structure and frame are so big that I can hold more muscle. If he could add another 4 or 5 pounds of muscle by the Olympia, I'm assuming he's probably going to, he might have to hit another show. I don't know if he's going to be qualified on points, but he's got to be, he's got to have a lot of points now from these past 2 shows. We'll see, but I think if he could put another 4 or 5 pounds on, he's going to be super dangerous at the Olympia. Look, he brought enough conditioning, and that's why he beat Samson Dauda, because you can make the argument Samson Dauda has more wow factor. He's got nice showing muscle. He's got a small waist. He's got the flow that we love to see, but he just wasn't hard enough. A lot of people think he came back better this week than he did last week. It's debatable. I still think in the glute and hamstring area, he's too soft, and he needs to come in with grainy conditioning. But in his defense, it might have been a better look for him, because if he had come in super grainy hard, he might have looked a little too small. His legs might have gotten smaller. His back might have gotten a little shrunk down. He needs more tissue too. He needs at least 5 to 7 pounds. I would like to see him gain 10 to 12, to be honest with you, because I think he's going to be insane if he can do that. But for now, I think he's still in the growing process and improving process. And there's nothing wrong with that, because he's showing improvement to the judges every time he gets on stage. And that's what bodybuilding is all about. He hasn't arrived yet, but he's right there knocking on the door. And people should be very scared if he does arrive, because with his structure, he's going to be very difficult to beat. And, 4th place in this lineup that's amazing. And you know what? Max Charles really showed us a lot, because he came back tonight at the finals way better than he was at the prejudging. As a matter of fact, had he come looking like he did tonight at the prejudging, he might have actually been higher. He might have knocked off Samson Dauda or Kuclo, because his upper body might have been the best on stage. I mean, tonight he was hard, full, dense. His legs never will match his upper body, because his upper body is that good. But they were hard tonight, and I think that, like I said, he could have moved up a spot or two had he looked like that at the prejudging. But look, most of the decision is made at the prejudging. The night show's almost a confirmation round. They say it's worth 50% of your score, but really, to change a judge's mind, you have to come back considerably better, and other people have to come back considerably worse, and that's not what happened. Most people improved from the morning to the night, and so even though Max looked a lot better, it wasn't enough. Now, had a couple of guys, come back worse, I think he would have moved up, because he looked amazing tonight. It might have been the best I've seen Max look ever. So, once again, when you get a lineup of top 5 guys that look that good, okay, the show's got to be considered a success. And for a first-year show, this was an absolute success story, and I hope they keep this show and have it every year. I like that the 2 shows right one after the other. They used to have the Ironman years ago that was the week before or 2 weeks before the Arnold Classic. So you got that one too. Flex Wheel, all those West Coast guys used to do the Ironman every single year, Lee Priest. And then they would jump into the Arnold right after, a week later. So if we're going to do this now, the way we have it set up, Arnold and then Boston Pro, that would be great. I'd actually like to see the Boston Pro the week before the Arnold. I don't know if that could be done or facilitated, but I think it would be a good prelude. And then you get the Arnold Classic, and it's like everyone's, out for, to win that prize money, especially now that they've raised the prize money to $200,000. So for first place. Once again, I was impressed. I truly enjoyed watching the live stream. A+ quality on the whole show. Congratulations. And William Bonac, you redeemed yourself, and you're going back to that Olympia, I think, as one of the favorites, and that's got to feel really great. I'm Dave Palumbo. Stay tuned on Monday. We will have, or I should say Sunday night live, we'll have Heavy Muscle Radio. We'll be doing a full recap of the entire show with Chris Aceto and the gang. For now, I'm Dave Palumbo with an RX Muscle News Update.